You're listening to CEOs You Should Know. I'm Jack Crumley. We are joined this time by Neeraj Gunsagar, who is the president and CEO of Byte. Neeraj, thank you for joining us.
Hey, Jack. Thanks for having me on. Really excited about this.
Yeah, I'm excited to talk to you. You are the president and CEO of Byte, which is a direct-to-consumer teeth aligner company.
Yes, I am.
So I guess, first off, how did you come into this role? One of the things I like to talk to CEOs about is the idea of, if there's a personal connection to the industry, but the founders of the company sought you out, right?
Yeah. So, it's an interesting story, right? So I started my career in private equity and venture capital and investment banking right out of college. So I really, like a lot of people in the 90s, chased money more than anything else, chased money more than providing a difference in the world and looking at things from an operational perspective, trying to join a company. And so I eventually transitioned out of that and joined a company called TrueCar that was trying to change the way people bought and sold cars. We ended up going public. It was a really successful kind of exit and a really successful business that we built. And then about 3 years ago now, time flies. I was looking to transition out. I wanted to run something on my own. And I had met the founders of Byte. Actually, their kids go to the same school as my kids in the Santa Monica, Pacific Palisades area.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, and I was actually at their offices, and the founder, Scott, had walked out for a second. Blake's the other founder. They're both like brothers of mine now. But he stepped out of the office, and I could hear a woman. She was crying in what we call our S2 or sales, the people who sell the aligners part of the business section. And as anybody doing diligence on a company you're about to join as CEO, I naturally went over there because she was crying. And I thought right away, is this an HR violation? What's happening here? And I tapped her on the shoulder, and then I can hear another woman on the other end of the phone crying as well. And so I was like, whoa, this is a big problem. And she said, no, Neeraj, don't worry. This is another one of these incredible consumer journey stories. This was a mother whose daughter had actually tried to commit suicide twice. And the daughter had tried to commit suicide twice because she had been bullied throughout high school and stuff about the way her teeth and her mouth looked. Like we hear countless times, the mother lived in a county without an orthodontist. She couldn't afford any of the treatments that were out there anyways. And she finally had discovered Byte and Byte Pay, our consumer finance option, which we approve 100% of patients on. The daughter had now finished up treatment. She was in college by now. And she had gotten, her straight teeth. She had gotten her it and her smile back, which we see in so many patients. And she was no longer getting bullied. She felt great. And then the mother said something to me that changed my life, to be honest with you. She said, Neeraj, because I had gotten on the phone by now, she had said, I finally have my daughter back. And it was one of those surreal moments you have in your career where you've done all the diligence on how big the business can be and the market size, but then you're really changing people's lives in such a powerful way. And I quickly joined the company after that, and it's just been a rocket ship. You realize that so many people across not only the US, but globally don't have access to proper orthodontic care or oral care. You've got, they can't afford the current treatments that are out there because the way the infrastructure has been built to kind of really focus on higher income, white communities. And our offering does the exact opposite. It democratizes this experience, and we over-index to the communities that need this more than anybody, the Black communities, Latino communities. And it's been just an exciting journey, and that's why I'm here at Byte.
So this, for you, this isn't so much about the cosmetic angle of things. This is about health and quality of living.
I think it all comes together into one thing, which is self-confidence, right? So if you think about the concept of self-confidence, it's one of the major reasons you have mental illness or you have depression or you have all these things that kind of triangulate in the concept around that. So that's one piece of it. So the mental health piece is very important for me. But the other piece that people don't really understand is that if you don't focus on your own oral care, meaning brush your teeth, floss, have straighter teeth, have orthodontic care, go see your dentist every 6 months, you have a higher propensity for heart disease, diabetes, gingivitis, because you can imagine what happens with crooked teeth, right? With crooked teeth, food gets stuck more often. You get plaque buildup. You get a lot of things at that one entry point into your body, right? The mouth is the entry point into the stomach, into the body. And so when you peel back the onion on all of this, you realize very quickly that if we can get more people in different communities, lower income communities, African-American communities, Latino communities, to have that first step into oral care through affordable and accessible teeth aligning, what do they do in the long run? They start spending more time focusing on their own oral care. They brush more often. They floss more often. They go see a dentist. They ask for their first dentist introduction, which we want to do across the country. We want more people to see dentists in the long run. So that's kind of how we look at it at Byte. That's our mission. And it's what we stay core to our center as we build the business.
And the idea that you're doing direct to consumer means that people don't necessarily have to live in an area where they're physically close to a dental office. This is braces without the braces, right? These are specifically molded teeth trays that help align people's teeth, and they're shipped directly to people's homes.
Yeah, exactly. The process is pretty simple today. You get on the Byte website, you order an at-home impression kit. Means you remember those molds that you used to take as kids, and you come into the offices of the dentist. Well, you can take those from the comfort of your home. We have really descriptive ways of doing it. It's pretty easy in the long run. You send them back to Byte. Our treatment planners, which are dentists and orthodontists across the country, plus the treatment planning center in Costa Rica, they all give you an incredible treatment plan. You sign off on the treatment plan about what you want fixed in your teeth, and we ship 3D printed clear aligners. You see them, almost think about retainers, or people look at mouth guards and stuff like that. We send to your house, and we send you the whole plan at once, 16 weeks, 15 weeks, whatever long your treatment is, you get from the comfort of your home. And the long-term vision is that we know a lot of people still don't feel comfortable doing that and want to see a dentist. And so we're working with our parent company, which acquired us, Dentsply Sirona, which is one of the biggest dental companies in the world, dental equipment companies in the world. We're going to be working with dentists to be able to support this as well, so you can go into dental offices across the country.
So this is you're not just selling a cell phone or a hamburger. This is you have this product that's being directly marketed to people, and then it's also part of sort of an overall whole health. Again, like you said, the mouth is the intro to the rest of the body, and then also being able to connect people with dental professionals. This is it sounds like a really holistic approach.
Yeah, it's the early innings of truly building a bridge with consumers to oral care, right? And if it's vanity focused or if it's cosmetic focused is the first thing that we can get people to focus more on the oral care, let it be that. We're not going to change behavior that much. And so after they're in aligners and they want an entry to a dentist, or they want to go see a dentist on the front end, our long-term vision is to make that happen. We do have to spend a lot more time and effort building an incredible experience from the comfort of your home. You think about telemedicine and telehealth, that's really taken off since the pandemic hit. Well, we're spending a lot of time and effort building an app and an experience where consumers get notifications and updates on their treatment if they've fallen off track, or if they have to use what we call HyperByte, which is a high-frequency vibration tool that we give as part of your package that speeds up the process, but is FDA certified. It's an incredible, incredible differentiator. We keep you on track, right? I mean, the biggest thing people remember, the reason why their teeth fell apart or are getting crooked or whatever it may be, if they had braces before, is they weren't compliant with their retainers, right? And so our goal is to have an app remind you, just like an app reminds you what time to wake up, or an app reminds you to go work out, or you're using an at-home fitness thing. We want to do something similar in the oral care space.
That's great. And you're not just confined to oral care. I saw a news report, I think it was from last year, about how Byte pivoted in the early stages of the pandemic to make masks, to be a part of the supply line for PPE.
Yeah, so I mean, early on when that happened, everybody remembers back in March and April of 2020, we were all kind of a little freaked out about this pandemic and what it all meant. And we had a massive shortage of masks and ventilator parts and face shields. And so we realized very quickly we wanted to do our part and help support the cause and make sure that our healthcare professionals or frontline workers, be it, grocery store employees, we ended up shifting a lot of our manufacturing processes into building shields and masks. And then we actually sent them across the country to, high-risk areas. Remember early on, it was New York and it was the Bay Area and it was different locations. But we sent them to hospitals out there. And I actually have a really interesting story about this. Like my cousin is a doctor at Kaiser up in Northern California. And we had sent her our 3D printed face shields. And everybody remembers Apple, had a press release about doing 1 million face shields or something a week. And she was Kaiser in the Bay Area in Cupertino near where Apple is. And she received the Apple shields as well, or Apple face masks, or whatever they sent over to her. And she was like, oh my God, Neeraj, the Byte ones are way more comfortable, way more sturdy. Feels like they really protect us. And so their whole hospital used Byte shields. And we eventually, to be honest with you, we were like, why don't we just put this up on the website in an open source and let manufacturing facilities across the globe have access to these processes because you can just push a button in a 3D printer and make these shields.
Oh, that's brilliant.
So that's what we did. Yeah, that's what we did.
That's incredible. And what a way to sort of step up and go out of your way to do a necessary thing for people, which sounds like is a bit of a theme in your career on this stuff.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, like I said, we're all part of this together, right? I mean, this virus was, something that we all had no idea what it could be. And so if we all did a little bit of our part, right? Obviously, a lot of the big companies, be it the folks working on the vaccine or the government or whatever, were doing their big jobs. But if every single person, be it a small, medium business, be it an individual, could just do a little part, we were going to fight this thing, better than anybody across the globe. And I think we did a tremendous job. I mean, after we did our part, we were one of the first companies, if not the first company, I would say in the small, medium size to kind of really put our foot down here. But we saw a lot of people afterwards start doing that. And so if we were only a little bit a part of building that momentum, then that's great. And that's how we think of our business. Like we're a social cause. Like we really want to change the world, what we say, one smile at a time. And when you start digging deeper into that, it's really about helping people live longer and have more confidence and get their, what we say, get their it back.
So in terms of social causes, this is either going to be a smooth segue or an awkward one. But one of the things I also like to ask CEOs about is if there are any causes that you support, whether that's on a company level or in your personal life. Is there anything like that also gets your attention when you're not running the company?
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple of things we do. So from a company perspective, we've got our Byte Cares arm. So that's kind of our philanthropic arm that does a lot of things, right? So, as soon as I had heard about, the Afghan refugee situation and how we had displanted all these people as we had moved out of Afghanistan, we jumped on this very quickly. We ended up sending anywhere around 50 to 60,000 oral care kits to Afghan refugee camps. And the point of that is you've displaced these people into these new environments, giving them any sort of creature comforts, toothbrush, toothpaste, to make them feel more comfortable could improve their life a little bit. So we ended up we're actively doing that a lot. And so we're trying to spend more and more time helping these refugee situations at Byte. I also am involved in a couple of charities myself where I donate and I give my time that are just locally friends of mine that have started foundations around rare diseases. And, one of my friends has started a foundation around getting inner city youth or, I would say underprivileged youth to be able to do education abroad. So they have a more global experience. So you think about inner city youth that never get the opportunity to really travel. So every year I've been sponsoring a cohort to basically go out to these locations. This was the first year I did it. And so I'm very, very proud of that institution and what they're doing on that side.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, you got a lot going on, man.
Listen, in the end, if you're lucky enough or if you've been, gifted enough to be able to provide back, I think everybody should do their part and help people out. And I've, lucky or unlucky enough to have folks around me that have had situations pop up in their own lives where they've pivoted tragedy into creating, real momentum around causes. And I think when you see people like that, turning that around and doing good with it, you only can feel about supporting them. And if I can do a little bit of my part, I do it. I also, obviously I went to UC Berkeley, so I give back a little bit to the business school over there. So I just think that's what we should do to make sure that all these institutions that are doing good for the world continue to have support, both financially or personally, where you're actually, speaking or going and helping out the cause to do your part.
That's extremely cool. Neeraj, thank you for coming on the show.
Thanks, Jack. Thanks for having me. This has been really great. Hopefully we can chat soon again.
I would like that very much. He's Neeraj Gunsagar, the president and CEO of Byte. I'm Jack Crumley. You've been listening to CEOs You Should Know.